Kia ora, welcome to the Distant Vale. Strong moustache game going on this week, unfortunately. And this week we bring you something a little bit different. So we've started doing some stuff with Corvus Belli, and as I'm sure you'll know, they've recently teamed up with the Army Painter to release some faction-specific paint sets. So the PanOceania and the JSA paint sets. This week Harry's going to do a little bit of an unboxing and show you the miniature that comes in the PanOceania set, and I hope you enjoy.
Welcome back. Today's a bit of a special treat. We at Distant Vale have been given early access to the Infinity PanOceania paint sets. These are a wonderful beginner's sort of starting point into the Infinity game and the universe itself, whereby you get a very, very cool little exclusive miniature and the full basic range of paints needed to paint the faction. And you're going to come along with me today as we go through, open the box and put the miniature together. We should have the painting guide, or actually following along with the painting guide that comes in the box later on. Now you can see here that the box comes with a lovely little gloss insert with a step-by-step instructional on how to get the model looking box ready. Now these are brand new paints from the Army Painter, and it seems to be a brand new formulation with a lot of limited edition colors designed specifically for this game set. Looking inside the box that comes along, we can see that there is a lovely cast metal model. It looks to be in about 4 or 5 pieces. And you can see here the paints are everything you're going to need. So there's a speed paint and then at least one effects paint for the sort of magenta glow. And it looks to be a couple of skin tones, a couple of browns, and a green and a blue. And I think this is a nice little beginner's point in a painting journey, whilst still, I think, being a little bit more exclusive to the single faction. I think getting a decent blue, decent green, and some nice warm browns in that is always a good place to start for something that's going to be interesting on the team.
Hey, me again. Do you mind helping us try and beat the algorithm? Like and subscribe, drop us a comment below, and a massive thank you to Corvus Belli for sending us out the Infinity paint set, and that we've done the unboxing, and hopefully we'll do the JSA paint set and do some painting of the miniatures in the next couple of weeks.
Inside we have a 5-piece model here, so it looks like we've got 2 arms, body and a leg, another leg, and a backpack. Already I can tell that this is a higher than average sculpt quality. The details are already looking extremely sharp, and I think it's going to be relatively straightforward to paint. It would be interesting to see how this speed paint goes over this amount of fine detail. I can find with some of the speed paint varieties that they tend to clog up those details a little bit more than I'd like. So for putting this together, we're just going to need a pair of nippers, some files, and maybe not your favorite knife. Working with metal tends to be a little bit dulling on those blades, but it is quite nice to have something that's going to be able to just clean up any stray edges of metal as we're going through and nipping away the flashing, and just trimming up any mold lines that we can see on the model. Right, and with the bulk of the cleaning up finished, what we're going to do now is just run through a bit of a dry fit and just get an idea as to where these pieces are going to want to sit. It's always key when you're working with anything like a resin or a metal that you do take the time to do a dry fit and just see where gaps are going to need to be filled, and making sure that when you go through and start using the super glue, you know exactly where things are going to be sitting. It tends to be a case of you only really have one clean chance of getting these stuck together. With the metal, it's a little bit more forgiving than resin, but with some of the smaller parts, it can be quite helpful to just know roughly where you're wanting to put it and just how much additional filler you might want to throw in at the same time as doing that first fitting. And looking at it, there's a couple of spots on this body here that I just want to file down and just get things sitting a little bit more flush. This is always the benefit of doing that initial dry fitting, is you can kind of see where maybe I've not nipped enough off. And with that, most of the model should be pretty well cleaned up. And I'm just going to pull out some green stuff here, cut off just a little bit and mix it up. And I'm going to be using this to do a little bit of preemptive gap filling, and also as a way for me to increase that time I have between applying the super glue and getting a good fit. The green stuff acts as a nice little sort of temporary adhesive to get things lined up while that super glue sets. And a little pro tip, if you're working with green stuff with your fingers, it pays just to dip your fingertips in some water or get them a little bit wet. It just stops that green stuff from sort of sticking to your hand as you're kneading it through. And because the stuff that I'm using is a little old, it's going to take a little extra work just to get it blending nicely, and it will be a little gritty, so you might see me pulling out the odd bit of unmashed green stuff. Right, with that green stuff all mixed up, we're just going to take a very small piece and form it into a sort of a small sausage that we're just going to roll out and apply to the first join. And just going to use this to help sort of preemptively fill in that space, so that when the two pieces do eventually get glued, we're going to have a little bit of excess green stuff that we can scrape away and clean up later on, and make it so that when we paint this model there is no unsightly gaps or seams. And with that, the mini is together, and now we just need to get it onto the base. So what I noticed on this sculpt is that there's a little extra peg of metal that I've left on the boot there. With my intention in that was to just take a Dremel and size up a little hole so I can poke the boot through. Now, unfortunately, the drill piece that I had was a little bit too small. So off camera here, I've gone out and grabbed a slightly bigger one, drilled a hole through the center, and just used a little bit of extra green stuff to fill that space and keep the foot stuck in place. And we can now enjoy the final product. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around to the end. We really appreciate the support. Massive shout out to Corvus Belli for helping supply us with some early release Infinity miniatures, and look, we're really looking forward to getting some paint on these models, and hopefully we'll have some more Infinity and potentially even some Warcrow to work with in the future. So stick around, and hopefully I'll catch you all in the next one.